Okay, to continue talking about strict equality society. Okay, you've heard about laws and states, so you've got some idea what kind of country or state or whatever you would be living in under strict equality if society follows my kind of advice on how to do things. Okay, right. So now I promised to talk to you about the workplace, followed by the economy, then fame, and then crime. Okay, so the workplace. To repeat, these are my recommendations of how strict equality would look in detail. Strict equality is just the equalities of the three. The Constitution gives us equalities, the three equalities enforced by equality courts. Okay, right, the workplace. Now I suggest we have two kinds of institutions that you can work for instead of state and instead of private sector and state. My equivalent would be called on a similar thing: cooperatives and government. Well, I shouldn't say government. Cooperatives and agencies, state agencies, you could say. So instead of companies, you'd have cooperatives, pretty much like companies, except probably more like cooperatives that we have now. They'll be owned by the workers, and in fact they'll be more radically non-hierarchical than our current cooperatives, where I believe we have management and stuff in cooperatives right now. But in this system, they'll all be very unhierarchical. Okay, so and government agencies. I mean, I could call them the state or just departments or whatever. But I think an agency sounds a bit more like you'd have separate agencies. They're not necessarily part of one big unified state. The difference between a cooperative and an agency is that with regard to a particular task or industry, you could have several cooperatives doing the same task. For example, making chairs or whatever, you have to more than one cooperative making chairs. But with regard to a task like policing, that will be done by an agency. So the agency that does policing would be forced to do that task and would have to be the only entity that does that task. So I certainly think policing should be an agency, not a cooperative, and but it is debatable what other things should be. I think, like, obviously lawyers should be an agency, and I think maybe schools maybe could be cooperatives. It's debatable. Anyway, the reason I want to have these cooperatives and agencies, and not just say everybody just does, sets up their own kind of organization or whatever, is that this would bring us some sort of standardization. If you work for one cooperative, you could move and go to another cooperative, and you'd know what to expect, and it would be kind of defined whether you were in a cooperative or not. So I'd recommend these cooperatives and agencies are defined in law what they are and how they operate to some degree. Okay, so the big difference at work is that you're going to be doing a kind of job. Strict equality presumably is going to be a society a bit like our current societies, where we do a lot of the same jobs, like teaching kids or whatever, but and making chairs and whatever. But big difference is that it's going to be non-hierarchical in every area. So basically, there's in most businesses, in most cooperatives, in all cooperatives, there's going to be no bosses. So you're working in a shop, there's just no boss. Well, you're not going to have a boss. You're not going to be a boss. So there's not going to be no in the police. There'll be no police chiefs. Schools, there'll be no head teachers. Nobody directing films. Nobody editing newspapers. I mean, you could have people doing these tasks, but for like say a week. But you couldn't have one person being the editor of a newspaper all the time. So these things can be rotated. Now, I should be clear that I'm not claiming this is more efficient in terms of productivity, like output per hour worked or whatever. I'm not claiming the systems in every area or in even many areas is going to be more efficient. I mean, the aim of stricter quality, as I said in the last series of videos, is to general things like helping humanity survive by getting rid of this competitive kind of ethos. So it's got a slightly different aim to our current society. So it's not necessarily going to be producing more or producing stuff more easily. In fact, I predict that it wouldn't be as good at producing things as capitalism. But that might be a good thing, as I say. It would hopefully, in fact, produce like less junk, and be hopefully a bit more sane in what it produces, and probably I think produce less. So, in that sense, I think it would be less wealthy, which is an issue we'd like to discuss. Okay, so since we got no hierarchies. Okay, one big issue is technical tasks. I mean, actually, I'll discuss that in the next video because I think I'm running out of time here. My clock's stopped working. Okay, I'll talk about technical tasks in the next video. Thank you.